Good night, Tales.
I never believed in haunted houses. Ghosts were stories for late nights and cheap YouTube channels, until I moved into the house on Calder Street. It was my second semester of grad school, and I was desperate. My roommate bailed on me. Rent had doubled, and every listing I could afford was either a scam or a biohazard. So when I saw the flyer on the campus bulletin board, quiet room for rent, $400 per month, utilities included, no parties, must like cats, I called immediately. An older woman named Margot answered. She sounded polite, tired. She said the room was still available and that I could come by that afternoon. The house was a narrow Victorian, squeezed between two modern condos, like a relic refusing to die. Peeling paint, iron gate, ivy that clawed at the brick like it was trying to pull it under. Margot greeted me in a floral robe and slippers, her white hair braided down her back. The inside of the house smelled like cedar and lemon oil, the air thick with thyme. I noticed her cat, an enormous gray thing named Basil, watching me from the stairs. "The room's upstairs," Margot said. "3rd floor. Only rule is don't cover the mirror in the hallway. It's old and temperamental." I laughed. "Temperamental?" She didn't smile. "It belonged to my grandmother. She always said it didn't like being ignored." I thought she was joking. I nodded, said sure, and took the room. The mirror was hard to miss. It hung on the 2nd floor landing, 5 feet tall and framed in dark carved wood. Roses, vines, thorns, and what might have been faces. The glass had a slight ripple to it, like water held still by tension. I started avoiding it. I'd hug the opposite wall, turn off the hallway light before reaching the stairs. Basil would sit beneath the mirror, sometimes staring into it, not at his own reflection, into it, his tail twitching, ears flat. 2 weeks in, I stopped sleeping through the night. I'd wake up to creaking floorboards, always the same sequence, like footsteps pacing outside my door. Sometimes I'd hear whispering, low and wet, like someone talking through cupped hands. I asked Margot about it over breakfast. She sipped her coffee and said, "Old houses breathe, dear. They remember things." "What kind of things?" She shrugged. "Depends what you feed them." That night I covered the mirror. I'd had enough. The footsteps, the dreams, the feeling of being watched. I draped one of my towels over it and muttered, "Sorry, Grandma," as a joke. At 3:17 a.m., I woke up choking, not figuratively, literally choking, like something had wrapped around my throat. I staggered out of bed, hands at my neck, gasping. My bedroom door was wide open. The air in the hallway felt wrong, thick, electric, and the towel was on the floor, not crumpled, not fallen, folded in a perfect square, placed neatly at the base of the mirror. My reflection smiled at me. I wasn't smiling. I told myself it was a dream, stress, lack of sleep, a coincidence. But I didn't touch the mirror again. That weekend, Margot invited me to tea. She served chamomile and honey cookies and asked if I'd seen anything unusual. I nodded slowly. The mirror. Something's wrong with it. "It's not the mirror," she said. "It's what looks through it." She pulled out a photo album, brittle with age, black and white portraits of unsmiling relatives. She pointed to a severe-looking woman with sharp eyes. My grandmother Beatrix. She came from the old country, said mirrors were thresholds, that some spirits can't cross over unless they're invited, and some were never meant to cross at all. I wanted to leave right then, but she kept talking. She trapped something in that mirror, bound it, but it listens, it learns, it feeds on attention, curiosity. Why not destroy it? It doesn't want to be destroyed, and it punishes those who try. She held up her hand. 3 fingers, the ring and pinky were missing, clean stumps. I tried once. That night I dreamed of the reflection room. It wasn't a dream in the traditional sense. It felt like I'd been pulled somewhere. I was standing in a long, narrow hallway. All the walls were mirrors, stretching out in both directions. My reflection was everywhere, but none of them were doing what I was doing. One waved when I didn't. Another smiled when I screamed. And at the far end of the hall something was walking toward me, but it didn't have a reflection. I woke up, standing in front of the mirror. I don't remember leaving my bed. Basil hissed and bolted down the stairs. I tried moving out the next day, packed everything, called a friend to help, but when I walked down the stairs with my suitcase, Margot was waiting by the door. Her eyes were red. She looked older, like she'd aged a decade overnight. "You can't leave now," she said. "It's chosen you. I didn't choose it. You looked. That's all it needs." I pushed past her, opened the door. There was no outside. The porch, the street, the world. Gone. Just endless black. A void that swallowed sound and light. I slammed the door shut and backed away, heart pounding. "You'll have to finish what she started," Margot whispered, "or it will never let you go." The final night came in silence. Margot made dinner, kissed me on the forehead, and told me the house would help me now, that it remembered. She handed me a box wrapped in old lace. Inside was a silver key and a small, jagged shard of mirror glass. "When it calls you," she said, "follow your reflection, not yourself." She locked herself in her bedroom. After that, I never saw her again. At midnight, I stood before the mirror. It shimmered like water under moonlight. My reflection blinked, and I didn't. Then it stepped forward. I should have screamed, should have run, but I didn't. I reached out, and so did it. My fingers touched the glass, and I fell through. The reflection room was exactly like the dream. Endless mirrors, endless me's. But I wasn't alone. It was there. Not a ghost, not a demon. Something older, a presence made of hunger and mimicry, a shadow that moved like liquid and wore my face like a mask. I ran. The hall twisted. My other selves screamed, begged, laughed. At the center was a door, wooden, rotting, marked with carvings that hurt to look at. I used the silver key. Inside was a chair, a cracked mirror, and a name carved into the wall. Beatrix. I took the shard of glass and drove it into the reflection. It screamed, not with sound, but with thought. My nose bled, my ears rang, but I held on. I trapped it, just as she did, a binding by blood and pain and will. I woke up in my bed. The house was quiet. The mirror was just a mirror. Margot's room was empty. Basil was gone. The house was mine. I stayed 1 more week. Then I left. The world outside was back. I took nothing with me. I see reflections differently now, in shop windows and puddles, in the dark of my turned-off phone screen. Sometimes I catch my reflection watching me, smiling when I don't, waving when my hands are still, and sometimes, very faintly, I hear it whisper, "Don't cover me."